A very good morning and welcome to Africa and Beyond the Television Network. And this morning we are want to look at or examine the major weaknesses in both Chiwenga and Tagwirei's power bases. And remember, this is not a prediction of what is going to be the outcome of their political battles, but we are looking at the structural vulnerabilities of these people. So that is what is going to give us guidance in terms of who might become the next leader of Zanu PF, not the next president of Zimbabwe. So we are going to start at Chiwenga's weaknesses. VP Chiwenga is a man with a very deep institutional influence, but even though he's deeply connected, he faces several structural challenges, and these are the things which we need to take a look upon. So, VP Chiwenga is a former general. What it means is he's no longer powerful the same way he was when he was serving. We now have two generals who have come after him, General Valerius Banda and General Matatu. All these generals, they are going to make structural changes within or they made, and the other one is going to make structural changes within the military, and that is going to limit the influence of General Chiwenga somewhere, somehow. However, it depends on the people within the military which he tend to use. If he tend to use junior military officers, you remain powerful because there is discontent within the security establishment because of the shufflings which are happening, which a lot of them believe there are political moves which are being made so as to force them to continue to be in poverty. So he is no longer a commander of the defense forces. He's no longer a minister of defense, and he's no longer active in the chain of command. So even though he is retired, he continues to have limited power within the military structures. So yes, he remained very powerful, but that power has been limited, which means he cannot make critical decisions. He cannot summon the military and they come running. You have to use the people who are within the military structures for him to be able to outmaneuver the other. So it depends with the people he's working with. Um, Influence and command are two different things. You might be very influential, but if you lack direct command, it becomes a problem. So if you don't have your own commander in charge, it's a mess. So that must be understood by a lot of people. So that is that. Then, you know, let us go to this important thing. When you no longer have that power within the military, your ability to mobilize the security apparatus in political contests, it becomes also limited because you are contesting with a candidate, with someone with a full military backing, someone who can make commands and decisions there and there. So it's a very, very tough game. And also, there is need for assurances. Will General Chiwenga be able to assure the military men enough to support his political contest? It's something else. So General Chiwenga, weakness number two is he is outside Mnangagwa's inner circle. So Mnangagwa managed to reshape the intelligence. Remember, it was once headed by Moyo. Now it is now being headed by Mangwanya. Several changes have happened, including my deputy directors. So when you are looking at the intelligence system, it has been reshaped to the advantage of Tagwirei and Mnangagwa. And also the rotation of commanders, which has happened, is affected them so much. When you have your own people to see, and you are making your own plans, and when those people are rotated, what it means is you are going to zero you also need to start to trust new people who have been put in positions kuti mutange kunzwanana kuti zvakamira sei, muchimbotestana kuti is this person trustworthy, is this person strong enough, is this person weak enough for us to make our moves, all those issues. And also we have seen Team Rana Tagwirei rewarding top military officers with brand new cars and houses, and others have been given money. So that alone is influence enough to weaken the influence of General Chiwenga within the military structures. So that is something which is very important. Aligned officers who are believed to be aligned to General Chiwenga, they've been sidelined, they've been moved, they've been removed from critical posts, they've been posted elsewhere, especially Kuma peripheries. So that is another thing. So Chiwenga is continuously respected within the military, but it's no longer the same way when PV was there, when he was also the general. So yes, he remains powerful, but he cannot make decisions. So he now relies on the military commanders in terms of what must happen, unless he thinks of running a parallel military structure which he will assure certain people that they are going to be the command element in the next government. If he manages to do that, then he wins. But he also risks losing relations with other military generals. They will feel sidelined, they will feel good, their lives or their service will be short-lived. So that is also another issue. So you can see that it's another very important issue. Then VP Chiwenga is no longer healthy as he was before the coup of 2017. He was powerful and healthy then, but right now he's no longer that healthy. Even though he looks healthy these days, but he's no longer that strong in terms of in the terms of his health. So that is something which is very, very important. So we are looking at other elites. They are looking at General Chiwenga, and they see him as a weak man who is not going to live long if he is to take over power. That is the assumption which is there. So those are fears. People are fearing kuti munoisa munhu nhasi pachigaro 2, 3, 4 years down the line is no longer there. Ma-interest enyu munenge musati mama-protector. So he then becomes a transitional authority or a temporary power player. So he becomes somebody who can leave power at any point in time, so they cannot follow such a person politically. Those are the discussions which they're having. And these people, remember, they are working on long-term political activities. They want a long-term political leverage where they know they can count 10 plus years are in power. So General Chiwenga also does have a limited economic base. Who are the backers of General Chiwenga? It's believed or rumored that General Chiwenga is being backed by traditional companies and the traditional business people within the nation of Zimbabwe. But they are scared to lose out if things go the other way. So their influence economically towards General Chiwenga is so limited. So kuna mabrands mahombe anga achirwiswa in the past few months. Iwayo mabrands ndo are believed to be backing General Chiwenga, but they've been moved out of the financial sector. They've been moved out of the manufacturing sector in terms of the influence which they used to have. So also they are being threatened by the opening of borders. Kuti kana mukangodai tinokuvhurirai maborder and things will flood which are more cheaper, and smuggling will be used as a tool, or they can even remove duty on my basic commodities so as to make those businesses suffer a lot and have financial setbacks so that they fail to back General Chiwenga enough. So those are the issues which are happening. So General Chiwenga does not have mass business networks. He doesn't have deep financing. He doesn't have independent capital sources. As compared to Tagwirei, is a man with so much advantages in that. So General Chiwenga's strength relies on political ideology, where ZANU-PF will have to follow a certain ideology, where the people are saying, so that is the strength yakanyanya kubatwa naGeneral Chiwenga, and also loyalty from the old guard, from those people who have been there, who are being threatened by these new elites positions. They are fearing kuti they are going to replace a lot of them from key structures within the political organization. So that is another issue. And also, General Chiwenga will rely more on Liberation Authority. That is the issue yavanenge vakabata iyoyoyo, but that is the last option yavainayo. So you can see that General Chiwenga also, another weakness is he has been isolated factionally. A lot of his comrades, they've been removed from critical positions, and this has left General Chiwenga more isolated. So, it's something else. Then you are looking at Mnangagwa, you are looking at G40, you are looking at business elites, you are looking at the Youth League, you are looking at the Women's League. If they align against Chiwenga, the men then faces structural isolation. It becomes isolated in terms of the structures of the political organization. So without enough military backing and without enough structural power within ZANU-PF, it then becomes a very important, a very, very big problem for him. So this is a man who is relying on the old guard, is relying on the security, is relying on the war veterans. So if all these people are captured enough, then pake papera within ZANU-PF. So one thing which you need to note is General Chiwenga will have to rely more on young technocrats who believe that he is more moderate than Mnangagwa. There are business elites who do not believe in Mnangagwa, who believe that General might be better than Mnangagwa in terms of his economic policy. These days, the man has been sound economically. So, ndo paanozobata-batawo kuti kune vamwe vari kubhilivha maari. So that is something which is very important. Then we are looking at the weaknesses of kuda kwashe Tagwirei. Tagwirei does not command any liberation credentials. He is not known kuhondo. The only credentials of Tagwirei dzavari kuedza kumupa ndedzekuti he helped Zimbabwe to evade sanctions which were imposed by the United States of America. But it's not something which holds water when it comes to ZANU-PF politics. Yes, they are using it, but it's a rhetoric which they are using. So another issue is Tagwirei should understand that in a liberation political party, the use of money is temporary. We saw it with Grace Mugabe. War credentials, they remain permanent until the people who fought the liberation struggle are gone. But they will continue to use kuti baba wangu akarwa hondo, baba wangu akazoita chakati, baba wangu ndo akazodai. So they can continue to use the war credentials, the madzibaba avo, to hold leverage to power. So that is something. But Tagwirei cannot claim ideological authority. He doesn't have historical legitimacy, and he is not a man with revolutionary sacrifice. Those are three ingredients when we are talking about the liberation credentials, and he doesn't have them. So that limits kuda kwashe Tagwirei so much. What it means is, if we are to go to a Congress which does have a lot of the old guard, they will discard him along those lines. So Tagwirei relies more on Mnangagwa's protection. That is a weakness, because if something happens to Mnangagwa, Tagwirei is out, and is out for good. So his influence is tied to his access to the president, to the presidential protection. When it comes to the issues of Zach investigating him, he's protected by the president. And also, he does have executive-backed contracts. Macontract ese avari kurana ari kuvapa mara, they are backed by the executive, which means if anything happens to Emerson Mnangagwa, Tagwirei is out, and is out for good. So if Mnangagwa decides or is compelled and is forced, probably by the military, to distance himself from the entire thing, Jana Tagwirei, it then becomes fragile and it fails. So that is another issue. So we have looked at this and understood that in Zanu PF, each and every businessman without institutional backing, that business collapses. Look at Gushungo Dairies. It was very flourishing during the days of Robert Mugabe. But when Robert Mugabe was removed from power, it just vanished just like that. Semakambani maombaira anwa nemapoliticians avana gono vanakasukwera vanani, they've gone down. So the lights are off. Why? It's because there is no longer political protection which they relied upon for a very, very long time. So that is something also which is very critical and very important when it comes to this issue. So another issue which we need to understand is Tagwirei is seen as a symbol of state capture, is believed to have captured the state, and that is a disadvantage to him because people view him as a man who is too rich, too influential, too close to power, and too involved in state contracts. And when you're looking at the military does not want somebody who threatens their authority. The military in Zimbabwe, a lot of people do not understand this. The military in Zimbabwe want to have its supremacy when it comes to authority. So Tagwirei and his team, they are becoming too authoritative. Even they are proving to be even powerful and bigger than the military itself. That is a disadvantage because when you become too powerful and too big for those institutions, they take you down. So they might not take you down immediately, but at a certain point in time, they will take you down. So there is silent resistance which is happening within the military, the veterans, even the intelligence, because when you are too powerful, you obstruct the functions of the intelligence system, especially in Zimbabwe right now with whatever which is happening. The functions of the intelligence, they are now limited because of the influence, and they are causing a lot of security risks. Saka uchaona kuti the intelligence will come and say this move is a political risk, and it's overlooked because the people who are trying to win a factional battle will say hazvina basa. You see, because they are too powerful, they think money is everything. They think that they have everything, what it takes to be at the top. So they then create silent resistance in engage it mukati. And once you are seen as a threat to national security, your chances of emerging at the top becomes slim. So another issue is Tagwirei has been under scrutiny, international scrutiny, to be precise, and also is a man who can be sanctioned at any point in time. Remember, America is investigating the smuggling of gold which is happening in Zimbabwe through Kenya, Tanzania, Mozambique to UAE. So those investigations, if they are concluded and it's believed that a lot of gold is being smuggled out, it becomes a problem. Recently, we saw a report where Kenyan gold jumped from 13 tons to 42 tons in a year without establishment of new mines. And it's believed that most of the gold is coming from Zimbabwe, Sudan, and Ethiopia, passing through Kenya to United Arab Emirates. So when you're looking at all those reports, the people who are releasing those reports, they have an intention, and that intention can land to Zimbabwe to sanction these people, including Wanachivayo. You might see them having a lot of financial exposure, a lot of restrictions in terms of their movement, and it's then end up having reputation concerns. So it then becomes a problem. So it's something. Money, it buys loyalty, but loyalty bought with money is unsustainable, because what happens is somebody with more money will come, and that somebody with more money, if they arrive at the scene and they flash their money and your money is little, what it means is you lose. Imagine if mikoto yese yegoridhe kanzi yavharwa nhasi, ikavharwa nhasi, what happens? Mari inooma. Mari ikaoma, then these guys can no longer run their operations fully. It's a disadvantage to them. So shifts happen quickly, and this whole operation, it depends on the cash flow. If the cash flow is limited, your influence is limited. So that is something which is very important also to note. So if funding slows, it collapses and it becomes transactional, not ideological. When you are following somebody ideologically, my supporters ZANU-PF kwese kumashuro, they've been following ZANU-PF ideologically. But right now, a new system has been introduced where they are following ZANU-PF transactionally. It's a very big problem, because when transactions fail, they leave you and they go back to their ideological structures and belief, and you are left vulnerable and you are left alone. So what we need to understand is even though these people, they both have their weaknesses, it depends on Mnangagwa's weaknesses also, and his strengths and his abilities to run this thing without causing problems. So is he patient enough? Is he strong enough? Is he connected enough, Mnangagwa wacho, to decide who becomes the leader of ZANU-PF? So look at Tagwirei. Tagwirei is depending on Mnangagwa for protection, but Chiwenga does not depend on Mnangagwa for protection. He can protect himself. So that is the difference between the two men. And also, Chiwenga does not need 100% endorsement from Mnangagwa to be within ZANU-PF. Ane vanhu vake varimo. So zvinompa relative advantage. But when you're looking at both factions, none of those factions is too strong. So both of the factions, they need Mnangagwa somehow, and both of them, because of that, Mnangagwa then remains on the top. Saka, you see with the decision now, it will depend on what the military thinks. That is the final decision then. So we can continue to watch and see what is happening, but to me, I believe Guti, these things which I have highlighted are very, very important when it comes to who is going to succeed Emmerson Mnangagwa anytime from now going forward. So the 2030 agenda, to me, I see it as a failure. Their pursuit of the 2030 agenda is a sign that General Chiwenga is quite stronger somehow, and they don't want to take chances. So by extending the tenure to 2030, they can extend it to 2033. They will be trying to eliminate General Chiwenga naturally from the scene. Vanhu vake vachifa, vanhu vake vachibva, vanhu vake vachiita sei, he'll be weakening himself. Each and every time he will be weakened, each and every time he will be weakened, up until he is weak, and up until they have full authority and control of the structures in the nation of Zimbabwe. So it's very, very difficult to understand and very complex to understand, but I think I have tried to break down critical weaknesses which are there between Chiwenga and Tagwirei. And from there, you can tell who might become the next leader of ZANU-PF, not the next leader of Zimbabwe. So this is it. Let us meet in other episodes as well as other broadcasts.